new rule. Before I go out onto a stage ever, I'm going to require an exercise routine beforehand because it puts us all in a great mood and gets us all full of energy, and I love it. So thank you. I'm Carrie. I am the CEO of Likeable Media. This is actually my very first presentation without a PowerPoint behind me. I'm going rogue. No PowerPoint. Thank you. Thank you. Very anxiety-producing, no PowerPoint and no notes. So I'm going straight from the heart today. And I thought I would start by asking you all a question. How many of you are, first I'll get the kind of easy question out of the way. How many of you would consider yourselves relatively active in social media? Good, and I know all of you that are live streaming are clearly active in social media. And now I'm going to ask a question that I don't know the answer to, even though you're never supposed to ask a question that you don't know the answer to. How many of you sometimes are on social media and feel a little lonely or a little sad and you're not exactly sure why? I see some hands, not sure. I would love if anyone watching the live stream would tweet me and let me know if you ever feel a little off or a little down when you're on social media. And I can tell you that I certainly do. And I am the CEO of a social media agency, so you can imagine that might be a little difficult. But I do, and I'll tell you the reason that I do. The reason that I do is that I am constantly looking at all of the wonderful things that everyone in the world is doing. I'm looking at the wonderful things that my competitors are doing and all of the new clients that they've won and all of the new amazing things and how they're hiring and growing and all of these great things. I'm looking at my friends who are, either doing some kind of amazing achievement or, on social media also you're not always connected to your closest friends. So people who you knew in high school but weren't that close with them, they're doing all these amazing things and you're feeling rather envious, a little envious, or you're kind of watching the tweets and you hear about somebody who always chooses the salad and I wish I always chose the salad, and it can make you kind of sad sometimes. True. Sometimes you're filled with joy, right? Because you're happy for your friends, you're happy for everyone in your community, but a lot of times it leaves you feeling like, well, what about me? And there was a quote that I actually referenced recently in an article that I wrote for Inc., and the quote was by a pastor, Stephen Furtick. And the quote went something, I'm paraphrasing, of course, because no notes, and it's not up on the PowerPoint, something like this. The reason we suffer from insecurity is because we're constantly looking at everyone else's highlight reel when we're living the real behind the scenes, right? So we live our everyday. We have all of those highlight reel moments, and quite honestly, we're tweeting about them and Facebooking about them and Instagramming them and sharing them everywhere. But truth be told, there's a lot going on behind the scenes that's really hard, right? And so when things are hard and we're looking at everyone else doing all of these wonderful things, it kind of can exacerbate it and make it harder. I know that that was the case for me. I know that that was the case for me. And so today, I'm going to tell you a little bit of the story of how I came from fearing social media in that way to really embracing social media and to talk about how social media led me really to a major, major life change. And hopefully, from listening to me today, you can take that and learn about how you can use social media to be just a little bit more of who you want to be. And so I'm going to share that story for you now. One of the things that I find so fascinating is that it is absolutely impossible to hear incredible news stories or coverage or things about people who put themselves first. You never hear about the guy who ran into the burning building to save himself, right? You never hear about how amazing that mom is because she went to Pilates. You don't hear about those things. You don't hear about people putting themselves first. You're not kind of put as a hero to do that. But that is exactly what I needed to do, and what I would argue that just about everybody needs to do. And putting yourself first doesn't mean that you need to do Pilates 5 times a week, and it doesn't mean that you need to go on a diet. What it means is that you need to do what works for you to be the healthiest and best self that you can be, so that you can care for others, so that you can be the leader you want to be. And so I had a lot of trouble accepting that. I'm going to share with you my story and where I was in 2010, 2011, 2012 that led me to this space that was really hard. In 2010, my dad died. It was about 4 months from the time he got sick to the time he passed away, and I was very, very, very involved in that experience. It was a very difficult experience, very difficult. At the same time, I was growing Likeable Media. Likeable Media is a social media and word-of-mouth marketing agency at a time when everyone needed to understand social media, and it was growing and growing and growing. At the same time, I had 2 children that needed me as a mom. Life was going. It was going, and it felt like I couldn't stop to breathe. All I did all day was eat on the go. I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but I certainly have. When you are trying to get to a meeting and you rush and you're like, okay, I'm going to go to Dunkin' Donuts and I'm just going to really quickly, because I can't get anything else, I'm just going to quickly get that sausage, egg, and cheese and I'm going to eat it because I love it, right? Or I got to really get to that meeting really fast, and so I'm just going to stop and get that soda, or all of these things that are extremely, extremely convenient, or grab that bar, or any of those things. And I did that, and I also really squished down a lot of pain, because I never felt good enough in any area. I wasn't good enough to take care of my dad. I wasn't good enough to be the best mom I could be, and I certainly wasn't good enough to handle this rapidly growing company that I had absolutely no idea what I was doing, because I was everywhere all at once. And then I had what I call my Michelle Obama moment. So I will tell you my Michelle Obama moment, and regardless of your politics, hopefully you find the story interesting. I was watching an interview with the president and the first lady, and I think it was with Oprah. And I never put myself first, ever. And one day I was watching this interview, and she said very clearly and very powerfully, "Oh, I have to put myself first, or I won't be a good mom, a good first lady, or a good wife." And she proceeded to talk about how she exercises all the time and how she does all of this, and I'm like, this is the First Lady of the United States, and she's putting herself first. And that, for me, was a light bulb moment. That was a moment that was like, who do I think I am that I can't make time for myself to put myself first? Who do I think I am? Of course I need to put myself first. If Sasha and Malia's mom can put themselves first, I certainly can put myself first. And so that's exactly what I needed to do, except, remember, I also have a very big fear, or had a very big fear, of being vulnerable on social media, because I'm looking at these highlight reels, and I know maybe that makes me an imperfect person, but looking at them over and over and saying, oh, I could never be that good of a mom, or I could never be that great of a leader, or I could never be that great of anything. And all the while, I'm sharing things that if people are looking at me, they think the world is like the greatest thing ever. And so I decided that I was going to be vulnerable, and I decided that I was going to reach out. And so when I did, I shared on Facebook that I was looking for a nutritionist. And I was really nervous about it, because would people think I was fat by saying that? Would people think, what do they know? And meanwhile, I had gained about 40 pounds. And then I looked at it, and all of a sudden my friend, his wife, was there. She was a nutritionist. She helped me. All of a sudden, I looked online, and I looked at people, not who were on The Biggest Loser, but people who were rejected from The Biggest Loser. And I looked at how they were going and trying and working online and reaching out to do that. And suddenly, the very community, which I feared, came to me. Once I shared how I was feeling, they were able to help me and help me achieve what I needed. Through social media, I was able to share my story. I was able to lose over 40 pounds, and I was able to focus on myself and receive the encouragement I needed to be a better leader. And I wish the same for you. Thank you.